so they're playing this game, they're trying to control us. They know that they've watched the cycles. They know when this clock ends, they're going to try and claim a victory, but they're putting us dangerously close to actually really blocking too much sun at a point where it's not as strong and we really need it. And then we have a real problem on our hands. Is that essentially what you're saying? All right.
That is very correct. So that's the part of this that gets my goat. Even Alan Robach, he's a geoengineer. He went to a meeting on geoengineering, and this is probably the most priceless quote I've ever heard out of a geoengineer's mouth. He went into the room, and it was like almost 100 degrees in the room, and they're all sitting there talking about controlling the temperature of the planet. And he thought to himself, we're talking about controlling the temperature of the planet, but we can't control the temperature of the room we're in right now. I mean, the hubris of these individuals, the fact that cloud seeding was invented in 1946 by Vincent Shaver, Irving Langmuir, and Bernard Vonnegut. And since 1946, they have not been able to prove to the National Academy of Sciences or any other body that cloud seeding has scientific efficacy, meaning it is repeatable, provable. You can say in advance what's going to happen. There's too much chaos in the climate. There's too much chaos in weather. It's completely unpredictable. So how could you possibly predict what's going to happen if you loft 10 million tons of sulfur, aluminum, titanium, diamond dust, or calcium carbonate? David Keith's SCOPEX program at the Harvard Solar Geoengineering program, they specifically moved on to what's called calcium carbonate because they say, oh, it'll take care, it won't destroy the ozone layer, but it'll cool the planet. The problem is even David Keith admits, well, if we put 1 million tons of sulfur into the atmosphere like I'm, estimating that we should do, I admit that will kill many tens of thousands of people. But it is our hope that we would save more lives than we would take because global warming.
This is a really important moral point. So if I made a decision, or if there was a collective decision to do a geoengineering program, and you put, say, the kind of program I think makes more sense would put about 1 million tons a year in, but let's say, you might end up killing many tens of thousands of people a year as a direct result of that decision. I think that has moral consequences. I don't sweep it under the rug. So this is a case where I take this much differently from Alan and think it's a much more serious issue. Now, it's true that as part of doing that, you would hope that the overall benefits of human mortality would be so that you would save many, many more people than that.
This eerily reminds me of Robert Oppenheimer. And most people have heard the I am become death part of that interview.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
What they didn't hear was the full interview. At the beginning of the interview, Oppenheimer says,
they hoped, or other people hoped, that it would put an end to this war, save countless lives, and that on the whole we were inclined to think that if it was needed to put an end to the war and had a chance of so doing, we thought that was the right thing to do.
Well, it was our belief as scientists that if we created this weapon, that many more lives would be saved than taken.
Right.